Dr. Therese Coffey.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I strongly welcome this statement, and I congratulate him, also my noble friend Lord Bennion, on the negotiations, but also officials Alison Campbell and indeed many of the officials in DEFRA who played a blinder, frankly, in securing the agreement, working towards that. I also want to pay him tribute because he single-handedly made it possible for so many MPs to attend COP28, and I pay tribute to him for doing that, recognising his presidency of Globe International. What I would like to say to my right honourable friend is I was particularly proud of the mangrove breakthrough moment, and I'm conscious the combination of nature and climate going together started really very strongly in Glasgow and has accelerated. Can I seek assurances from my right honourable friend that we will commit to the 11.6 billion ICF funding? I know that we've already started spending some of that, but also to consider some of the approaches, things like salt marsh, the UK's equivalent of what would be a mangrove, in order to make sure that we have that continuing integration as part of our policy.
Madam Deputy Speaker, may I thank my right honourable friend for her question. May I thank her for her attendance at the COP and her continuing passion and ability to communicate the importance of nature as a value in itself, but also how dealt with in the correct way. It is complementary to development, and it is complementary to the maintenance of carbon sinks. It's nature, and making sure that an understanding of it is central to our thinking is so important. She thanked my officials, and she's quite right to do so. When Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber made the historic announcement of the UAE consensus, the central text of the various texts we agreed was that on the global stocktake. And having thanked the two ministers who led the work around the stocktake, he immediately thanked Alison Campbell and Mr. Teo from Singapore for their fundamental role. So our officials and my team were very much involved in drafting and pulling together words, and I was delighted to be supported by them as we met from Saudi Arabia to China to India to other partners, and I pay tribute to all of those countries who, just as we did, had to move from our initial positions in order to find a consensus position. And she also mentions having MPs present. Well, my first COP was in 2005 in Montreal, and I remember then feeling that the elected parliamentarians who make the political weather were not properly accounted for. And when I look back to that historic Climate Change Act, and I'm proud of the fact that my then party leader, the noble Lord Cameron, was the first party leader to support it. Actually, it was. If she could just be quiet for a moment, it was actually parliamentarians. It was Friends of the Earth working with parliamentarians, and an early day motion, that most often, an instrument in here which is often looked at askance. That combination of Friends of the Earth working, the EDM in here, backbench parliamentarians, a new Green Conservative Party, that combination triggered the Climate Change Act, which has been significant not only for the UK, but the world. Yeah.